So the point is that we can either profit from it by being world leaders. We have natural advantages in renewable energy. The solar investment that Labour has announced will be great for Hawke's Bay, because I think Hawke's Bay has a lot to benefit from solar. And things like agri-tech that we are world leaders in. If we can
You continue to punish farmers, though. That's not.
We can actually profit. We can't ignore international trade rules. If our farmers want to trade, and it's unfortunate that our methane is a large part of our carbon emissions.
0.001%.
But the point is, we have to meet
15%.
international obligations if we want to keep trading.
Except China.
Okay, we'll move on to Martin.
I believe
so
that.
you
Right,
don't
I know.
believe in
I'm
man-made climate change, eh?
I believe it's climate change. I
But
do
not
believe that we
man-made.
may have an influence, but I do not believe it is a climate crisis, and I do not believe in climate hysteria. We say,
So
again,
half
evidence
of
of it.
S Valley
I'm not
being
right.
washed down
Yes.
is not a climate
And
crisis.
it's a natural disaster and it's a crisis, but it's not from the climate particularly. They actually opened up the old houses, and there was one which had from the 37 flooded. You'd got the level of the mud inside the house from the 37. If you go to see...
there's never been floods.
Yes, and they're massive ones. And when Michael Fowler
It's
does
90
his
years ago.
history back in the late 1800s, there was floods, and the newspapers say unprecedented flooding hits Hawke's Bay. 4 years later, unprecedented flooding hits Hawke's Bay again. This is all before the 1900s. Then through the 1900s, there's more flooding. It's been happening. Cyclone Bowler was missed off NIWA's reports on flooding events. And if you go back several months, there was last year, wasn't it? It was 2 years ago, the Tongan eruption. You're looking at world events around the place. So Tonga, we felt the blows of I thought it was fireworks, and I thought, this is crazy, this is the afternoon. We heard the pops of that. My daughter, who lives in Maraenui, felt the wall of her house actually flex. And we found out that was that afternoon, that was the eruption. So that's how strong it was. And millions and billions of gallons of water erupted. So it goes somewhere. We're in a closed system. As a scientist, you'd know we're in a closed system. So water goes up. At some point, it's going to come down. So is it not that other events like that lead to climatic effects? You know, if we're saying that 15% gases from cows is causing this problem, 15% of methane, 15% is from cows. If we've got billions of gallons of water going up into the atmosphere, at some point, that's going to come down. And over the last few months, that's what we've seen, or early in the year, what we've seen. Now, I'm not a climate specialist, I'm not an expert in it, but you've got to start thinking.
Clearly.
Clearly, right, yeah, we'll get onto health later as well in the vaccine. But start looking at let's do the proper research, get the real experts and people who are saying, well, this could be the case.
Well, I think many people would say the research has been done. Julian, what do you say about what Martin just said?
I don't know how much he understands of science. You know, in the last 50 years, CO2 in the environment, in the atmosphere, the lower atmosphere, which is what determines our weather, has gone up exponentially. And the thing about those greenhouse gases is that they stop heat from dissipating, and they cause more heat. They cause more heat on the surface of the Earth, which causes fires, wildfires, droughts, and it causes more heat on the ocean. The ocean is 70% of the Earth's surface, and it's the oceans which regulate our climate. And by having the air above the oceans being warmed and the oceans themselves being warmed, it not only creates acidification in the marine environment, which has a huge impact on the ecosystem, it also causes turbulent weather patterns. And we see that more and more and more. The weather patterns are changing. And okay, of course there's always been natural disasters, no one's denying that, but the scale of them, the regularity of them, the unpredictability of them is massively increasing.
Okay, we're going to have to move on. We're going to have to move on. So, Laurie, what's your view on climate change?
Well, obviously things are changing. We need to look at getting things settled down, but it's not to this crazy mayhem that has been preached and forced down our throats from climate. Well, obviously I'm not a climate expert, but these people are just doom and gloom. This, what did I say? I had something I'd read out in the Puketapu taxpayers event about in the 1970s, acid rain would kill the world. In 10 years, in 1980, all the icebergs would be melted. In 1990, Greta Thunberg said the world...
30% of them have moved melted since then.
The Earth would end last year. Okay, things are happening, but let's take a pragmatic approach of it.
Coming through your
but
house.
the thing is, it depends where cyclones hit. Cyclones hit in different parts of the area. So if you have the main weather bomb over a certain area, of course that's where the rain's going to be.
This was
and
bigger
there's,
than
and there's
normal,
been
though, wasn't
higher there's been higher floods in New Zealand, in Napier in the 30s, in the 20s, and
it wasn't as big an
1910s.
event.
The thing is, we need to take a pragmatic approach, slow down. Everybody sit down and say, right, what's going to happen? New Zealand's 0.0001% of something. You've got India and China. Get these guys, do something properly in the world to stop climate change. Don't kill us. Don't kill our farming. Don't get rid of New Zealand as a country because, the world's going to end
Nobody's trying
with
to get
global
rid of New
warming.
Zealand as a country.
Just slow down, put your
Katie?
feet up, have a think.
Are the current policies killing farming?
Yes, they are. No, that's that simple. I think the most important thing to acknowledge is that we have got to do something. And we've got to keep doing it.
Exactly.
We can't just say, hey, actually, here's this policy and we're going to do this and that's it. It doesn't work. But we've got to be practical about it and we've got to take people with us. And that is not what is being done at the moment. It's really important that we give farmers the tools to reduce their emissions rather than just squashing them down and down and down, because everybody agrees
We haven't. They're
that
not even in
clean,
it.
green New Zealand is
They're
our
not even
brand.
in it.
Everybody
This is rubbish.
agrees. But He Waka Eke Noa
Was
is going
it
to
consulted
cripple
with industry
farmers.
bodies
It's
and
kill
farming?
We have to give them the tools, and we talk about agritech. Agritech should be in partnership with agriculture,
Absolutely.
and it
But
isn't.
Mark says there was consultation.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
all
but
the
look,
industry
do you know what?
bodies
The
were
amount of
involved in
farmers
He Waka
I talk
Eke
to
Noa.
who say it is unworkable, it is impossible for them.
crazy.
They either have to
They're killing
sell
us.
fast part of their farms, they either have to put
Then
most
they-
of it into pine, or they have to reduce their herd. That is not going
Then
to
they
help
might
our
need to
economy.
improve the
So we have
representation on their
got-
industry
look,
bodies that
we
help to
are going
negotiate
to
it with the
double
government.
Kill farming.
renewable energy. Now, this is the point. We
Biofuels.
need to double renewable energy infrastructure so that we can double renewable energy rather than being reliant on non-renewable sources. And so all that's happened, and I will go back to this again, by Labor banning coal mining in the South Island has meant that we are
Crazy.
still reliant on it and we are bringing it in from somewhere else.
We are burning less coal
need
than we are burning less coal now. I've looked this up since you said this. Katie keeps repeating this. We are burning less coal now than for the last 23 years. The one bad year that you're talking about, there was a drought and the hydro lakes were low.
Yeah.
So we investigated hydro storage battery lakes. And we're just investigating that as an option, right? So that we've got some backup storage in dry years to solve the dry year event, which may become more frequent, and we may get one this
Here
year.
we go
Did
again.
we import
But
2
everything that we
million tonnes
propose-
of coal
everything that
last
we-
year from Indonesia?
Here
Did
we-
we
but
import,
here we go
Did
again.
we import 2 million
We are
2 million tonnes of
using
dirty
less-
coal from
we are
Indonesia last
using
year
less coal now
to
than
make
for the
sure
last
to make
23 years
electricity.
in our
Look, do you know what? I'm going to come back to
fuel
my point.
electric vehicles.
Regardless of what everybody else says, we need to take action. And I
Exactly.
strongly believe that what
Pragmatic.
National is putting out there is practical environmental
Pragmatic
policy
action.
Okay,
that is
let's
going
see
to
what
take
Bob
New
wants to
Zealand
say.
with us.
getting rid of the clean
The
car
bottom
discount.
line is that
How's that
over
helpful?
the last 6 years,
Doesn't get rid of clean
gross
cars, does it?
emissions under
Well,
this
it doesn't create
government,
any
gross
new ones,
emissions
does
have
it? It does.
increased.
No, it doesn't.
So clearly, yes, it does. So clearly, look it up. So clearly, your policy is not working. What I think we need to recognize, yes,
What's not
climate
working,
change is
Pavel?
real, and we need to do something, and we need
Policies.
to
Your
do
policies are not
our
working, he
bit.
says.
But our carbon
And
emissions are 8% down.
We need to recognize that it's a global issue.
Our carbon
We
emissions
need
are falling, so what policies
no,
are
no,
What
the
about our
gross
economy,
emissions
though?
are going up.
Killing
What
our
I'm
economy.
saying,
Our economy
is,
at 8% of GDP ahead of pre-COVID is actually
no.
doing pretty
We're up to
well on a
0.9.
global
what we need
basis.
to, no. The point is
International
that
rating
global
agencies would
warming is
disagree
a
with
global
you and
issue.
your
Okay?
leader, Pavel.
So it's very easy to come up with a policy.
You're an engineer,
that
not an economist.
makes. Yes, I am an engineer. That's why I understand it. And so what your policies sound nice in a stand-up, but they don't really deliver a reduction in emissions. What we need to do is we
Emissions
need
are
to
coming down,
reduce
though. Can we
our
have a
emission
fact-check
targets
journalists?
in line with
Our
our
emissions
trading
are down
partners.
8%.
Because if we reduce them ahead of our trading partners, all that does is it moves the economic activity offshore. When it comes to farming,
Farmers are not
it
even in the
results
ETS
both
yet.
in increased emissions and in making New Zealand poorer. New Zealand farmers are most efficient when it comes to emissions.
We're talking about
in the
bringing them
world.
in
the
5%.
world.
So the last
start
thing you
with,
want
right?
to do
kill them
is
more.
to move the same production from New Zealand overseas somewhere.
National's not
This is
proposing a
why
better
ACT is
solution, though. They're
saying that
proposing
we
just
need
to put the
tie
same
our
thing
emission
aside.
targets. We need to tie our emission targets to the targets of our trading partners. And if our trading partners wants to go down all the way to zero, we're going to go down all the way to zero.
Well, that's
We're
the
just
game we
going to
are
stand.
playing, Pavel.
This is the way that
Okay.
we're
You know,
going to reduce
ultimately,
emissions
we
Britain,
need
and
to
not
reduce
sacrifice
rather
our
than
economy.
offset, and that
Okay.
is what our policies are going to do.
We need to move on. We've got.
We clearly
not
don't
too
agree
much
on
time.
climate.
Sorry?
We clearly don't agree on climate.
Yes, there are a few views.
Don't
yeah.
believe the hysteria.
Yeah.